Back on the Sports Mag Zone, we turn our attention now to football. A COVID-19 hit round 17 of the English Premier League ended earlier Thursday following Newcastle's visit to Anfield to take on second place Liverpool. And we have those highlights.
Well, historically, of course, it is a fixture with a wonderful sepia-tinged history. And Fraser, Thiago's there, his clearance comes to Shelby, who can hit them. John Joe Shelby has scored for Newcastle.
And it's even worse from Thiago, because he should be clearing that, or he should be finding a red shirt. But when Shelby got onto it, I mean, he couldn't have placed it any better. Curling away from Alisson all the way, and the goalkeeper in the end could do very, very little about that.
Flung in by Robertson. Headed away as far as Alexander-Arnold, who rolls it forward for Mane. Newcastle have a man down. Sadio Mane's cross. Jota's header. Jota again, 1 inch.
Oh, no,
Newcastle livid.
They are. They felt that the game should have been stopped, and Liverpool should have shown more sportsmanship.
Games in the Premier League, the Champions League. And that back pass is pounced upon by Sadio Mane and followed up by Mo Salah.
And having just kind of poked it and tried to find the net as he fell on the follow-up, it couldn't have gone to a better source than that Egyptian.
Liverpool keep on scoring, Liverpool keep on winning. Newcastle never win here. They remain in the bottom three. They remain on a rotten run.
Yeah, so Liverpool continuing to score heavily. They scored in the past month. They scored 4, I think, against Arsenal, 4 against Southampton, 4 against Everton, 3 today. In today's other match, third place Chelsea hosted struggling Everton. And here's how that one went.
Away we go. Only once have Everton won at Chelsea in the Premier League era, and that was back in 1994. Mount shot at Pickford, scrambling across. Here come Chelsea. Reece James, Mount, chance for Mount, taken.
And finally, Chelsea have a lead.
Well, Mason Mount is the man of the moment, really, for Chelsea. 4 games in a row he's found the net in the Premier League. In from Gordon, decent delivery. Oh, what about this? What about this for a story? Jarrett Branthwaite with his first Everton goal and an Everton equaliser.
He just gets dragged under the ball, he gets dragged towards Michael Keane, and that just gives Branthwaite that extra little bit of room to make that vital touch. And what a cool finish, what a good finish.
Thiago Silva. Chelsea lose ground in the title race. Quite the rearguard performance from Everton, who fell behind through a goal from Mason Mount, but dug deep to pull out an equaliser, a first Everton goal for Jarrett.
Dropping points, Liverpool forging ahead, and Liverpool now just within 1 point of leaders Manchester City in the EPL table. Chelsea falling 4 points off the lead with their draw. Arsenal way back on 29 points in 4th, West Ham 5th, and Manchester United in 6th position at the moment. So there's the top half of the English Premier League table at the moment. Relegation threatened Burnley, Newcastle and Norwich, well, relegation positioned at the moment, but Watford, Leeds, Southampton not too far out of the woods, certainly. Burnley and Watford just hovering in those zones of relegation at the moment. The EPL is continuing this weekend with the start of round 18, but many of these fixtures are going to be postponed because of COVID-19 spikes in their camps. Man United, Brighton postponed. Southampton, Brentford postponed. Crystal Palace's trip to Watford called off. West Ham at home to Norwich, that's also called off. And there'll be no Everton-Leicester game at the moment. So more than half of the scheduled matches in the English Premier League this weekend scuppered by COVID-19 issues. And our football correspondent based in London at the moment, Simon Evans, joins us to talk about, well, what happened today, first of all, and the overall picture of the EPL looking a little dodgy at the moment with the COVID-19 spike, Simon.
Yeah, that's right. This new variant, the Omicron variant that's running rife through England at the moment, causing a lot of infections and positive tests. Thankfully, a lot of people who are getting it are getting very mild symptoms and aren't having serious problems. I think there's only actually 16 people, the official stats said, have been hospitalised by it in the UK. But it's boosting the positive test numbers all over the country, and it's having a big impact on football because, of course, you get in that close confined space in which footballers train and work and dressing rooms and so on, it spreads very quickly, and you get those positive tests and you can't get a team together. So a lot of confusion about exactly what the criteria is that the Premier League are using to call off games, how many players have to be missing and so on. But they've taken quite strong moves today to basically decimate that weekend programme. Yeah,
a lot of discussion happening at the moment regarding, whether they should suspend the league or take some sort of measure in that regard. And Thomas Tuchel, the Chelsea boss, had his comment on that today.
We've lost 5 Premier League games. They are cancelled. You are still currently set to play a game. Do you feel it's getting to the point, though, that the Premier League needs a break at all?
I don't know. I don't want to get involved in this political stuff. If the other games are postponed, they're postponed. If they decide we have to play with our cases, then we play and do the best. And we had enough chances, enough quality to win the game, and we did not.
Thomas, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, not too sure how much his mood affected or influenced the kind of answer he gave there, Simon, but he seemed very, very uninterested in weekend football.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because that's a really bad result for Chelsea tonight. I mean, Everton, that was a weakened Everton side as well with a lot of players missing. Looked a very makeshift lineup. Chelsea have dropped those points recently and drifted, from leading from the front to being definitely the third in the 3-horse race. And that's a bad 2 points to have dropped against an Everton side that have been really struggling this season.
But Simon, talking about the credibility of the league, since we have seen so many players missing, as you said, Everton had to play a real makeshift team. Is that stronger reason for the EPL to say, well, let us take a break for a while and assess things? Because what you don't want is for teams to, as you say, be struggling to find a lineup to weaken the quality of the league and probably an unfair advantage in terms of points being gained by teams who just can't field a proper contingent.
Yeah, someone I was talking to today made quite a strong point, which is you should do one thing or the other. Either you say, look, we're playing these games, come what may, we've got to get the season finished by a certain date. You have huge squads, 30-odd players in the squads. Most Premier League teams have 2 players for every position, sometimes 3. You've got the under-23 squads and your academies. You can get 11 players and a few subs out there if you really want to. Or you say, well, this is going on, we're not playing. We're going to break for a couple of weeks and come back when hopefully this spike has gone down. The danger is, of course, that once you go into that world of suspending things, then what becomes the criteria for return? And what we've found a lot of times with a lot of measures with COVID in this country anyway, is that if you stop doing something, then people are going to say, well, you can't go back, we're still having positive cases. So I think the Premier League's worry is that if they took a break, they might not get back for a long time. And it's very tight schedule this year because, of course, we've got the World Cup in November. So the dates for ending this season and starting next season are pretty much set in stone. It's not going to be like last year or the year before with COVID, where we were able to move things around and end the season in August. That's not going to be an option this year.
The Liverpool team looked pretty smart today as we get back onto the field. Simon, I mentioned, how many high-scoring wins they had. The Man U haters may have wondered why I didn't mention the Man U 5-0 loss to Liverpool, but that was back in October, and I was talking about the past month.
How dare you?
Yes, so talk to me, Simon, about how impressive Liverpool are and the fact that they're within a point of the high-riding Man City at the moment.
Yeah, they are impressive. I mean, City obviously going out earlier this week and putting 7 past Leeds United, laying the gauntlet down really to Liverpool. And Newcastle, this is Newcastle are a side that's struggling. But, those sort of teams in some ways can be a tougher opponent for the top teams than playing mid-table sides. And because Newcastle come with really nothing to lose. And I think Liverpool are pretty close to their best at the moment. You know, they struggled a bit early on in that game and going behind. But once they get into their rhythm, it's very, very difficult to stop them. And we saw there the goal at the end from Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he's returned to like his very best. You remember he was left out of the England team by Gareth Southgate last year, and all sorts of questions about his supposed slump in form, and he was struggling. And he's back really to his best now, him and Robertson. And when those two get going, there's no better pair of wing backs in world football, I don't think.
Yeah, Simon, Christie is a huge Liverpool fan, and he's pretty anxious to get a question in at the moment.
No, I was going to say to you, Simon, if there is one Achilles that you see Liverpool have, what would that be? I mean, obviously we saw Newcastle scoring early through a former Liverpool man in Jonjo Shelvey. I think Alisson was quite annoyed at the fact that, you know, he was denied another clean sheet, which would have put him ahead, you know, of the Man City contingent. But, yeah, if there is one weakness that you have seen in this Liverpool unit this season, what has it been? And did Newcastle really show it up?
Well, I think the weakness in the way that Liverpool play in general is that it's very frenetic, isn't it? It's high tempo, it's high energy, and all the pressing. And I think what they lack a little bit that other teams can do, especially Manchester City, is just that ability to just control games, to get in front and just keep the ball, frustrate the opponents, and sometimes you want to be able to do that for 20 minutes. And I don't think, you know, I think Thiago is growing into the kind of player who should be able to do that. But it's not about individuals, it's more the way Liverpool play, that it is always going to be exciting. It's great for the viewers and great for the fans because it is always going to be exciting. But they just don't quite, you know, have that ability in the way they play to just smother things for 20 minutes or half an hour. It's full on, which is great.
Yeah, and something you've mentioned before, Simon, the fact that when January comes and the African Nations Cup comes up, it is widely expected that Liverpool will have some issues, certainly offensively, with Salah and Mane not there, but there's Matip as well, and you know, a few others on their roster. So how confident can the Liverpool fans be that without these key players who will go to Africa, they could still maintain their press toward the lead?
Yeah, I think losing Mane and Salah in particular is going to be an issue for them because they are the two who really, you can switch in Jota and Firmino as Klopp has done this season, and it's pretty much still the same effective force. But those two provide so much to them, and they don't have natural replacements. There's no way that players like Jota or Origi are going to provide that level of pace and that level of ability in the penalty area. So they're going to have to change the way they play a little bit. They're going to have to hope some players step up. And it is going to hit them probably more than anyone, I think, in the Premier League at the top end. Certainly Manchester City don't have that exposure to the African Nations Cup. Although I will say, you know, without getting into it all, that I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with another big row about players being released for the... because, yeah, I mean...
I knew you were going there.
Yeah. It happens all the time. It happens all the time, and we're starting to hear rumbles of it already. So I suspect we'll be talking about that in the next week or two.
Yeah. All right, Simon. Always great talking to you on the Sportsmax Zone. Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Simon Evans, our English-based correspondent for football, and suggesting that the fears Liverpool fans have about them stuttering or struggling in January are real fears and legitimate fears. Of course, the EPL can be seen on the Sportsmax app through the Rush channels on the weekend, and when there are midweek matches as well. We go to break. Still a lot more to come on the Sportsmax Zone.